A far cry from your everyday hike, caves offer us a chance to see our world from a whole new perspective. Join us in North Carolina as we hike from the top of a mountain deep into a limestone cave and make our own adventure on Trailside.
Trailside is brought to you by Chevy Tahoe, encouraging you to find your own little part of the planet.
Long before humans walked the earth, the Appalachian Mountains rose higher than any others on the continent. For millions and millions of years now, they've been eroding away, leaving behind a landscape that's far more complex than it appears to be at first glance. Underneath this dense tree canopy are countless geologic intricacies, from huge granite slabs up at the higher elevations to limestone formations hidden deep within the earth itself. My guide on the trail is lifetime outdoor enthusiast Melanie Hoff from High Mountain Expeditions, a guide service that has been leading expeditions in the northwest quadrant of North Carolina for over 20 years. Good morning, Melanie.
Hey, Brian. See you found your way up the mountain. Did you have any problems?
Oh, I took a few wrong turns, but I knew if I just kept heading up the mountain, I'd eventually get here. It used to be a lot easier than it is now.
So you've been here before, then?
Yeah, as a child, I hiked the backcountry up here, but I never made it to Hawksbill. Now, why do they call it Hawksbill?
Well, if we were standing on that mountain over there looking at this one, it looks like the bill of a hawk.
Oh, I thought it was because there's a lot of hawks that circled the area.
Well, there are, and hopefully if we're lucky today, we'll see some.
I hope so. You know, it's sure beautiful around here. Been really looking forward to our trip.
It's going to be a great trip.
So where are we going?
Well, step into my office and I'll show you.
Okay. Is that little pack all you brought?
No, Brian, that's just my day pack.
Yeah?
Let me show you where we're going.
Okay.
This is the Pisgah National Forest. We are here on Hawksbill. We're going to follow a series of trails down into a gorge and then take some switchbacks and do a little boulder hopping at Upper and Lower Creek Falls, and then we'll set up camp at Upper Creek Falls.
Now, is this a designated campsite?
No, it's just an area where there's a fire pit. People camp there, but it's totally primitive.
That sounds good.
After a good night's sleep, we're going to meet up with Will Shirey at Worley's Cave. He's a caving expert, and he's going to be our guide in the cave.
Now, it looks like we're going to be off the trail quite a bit through here.
Well, there are times when I'm going to take you off trail, but there's markers, and I know where they are, so I'll help you find them.
Guess it's a good thing I have a guide.
It's always a good idea to have a guide. Are you all squared away with your gear?
Yeah, I think I brought everything. I've never been caving before.
Well, let's go take an inventory. Make sure you have everything for the cave and the hike.
Okay. This is a lot of stuff you've got to carry.
Well, I'll carry most of it, but you're going to take a little too.
All right.
Let me tell you about what I have here. This is our food for the trip. Most of it is dehydrated, which we can put water in this and heat it up on this propane stove. This is my mess kit, and I have biodegradable camp soap to help us clean up. After dark, I'm going to need these candles and this flashlight. It's also always a good idea to have a compass, multi-tool, and whistle. And just in case, I have a first aid kit, sunscreen, bug spray, and sunglasses. It can also get quite cold here in the high country, so I have a 3-seasonal sleeping bag and a tent. And as you can tell, the terrain is quite rocky, so I have a sleeping pad as well.
Okay.
It can also rain at any time, so I have rain gear and extra mid-layers to help keep me warm, hat and gloves. And I see you brought your frame pack.
Yeah.
This is mine, with plenty of room. And for caving, I have a pair of coveralls, boots, and a towel. And this is my helmet and headlamp. And for you, have these gloves to protect your hands as well as the formations.
Okay.
These socks, your feet are gonna get wet, so these are wool socks so your feet don't get cold.
All right.
You're gonna hit your head as well, and I don't want you to get knocked out, so you're taking this helmet and this headlamp so you can see where you're going.
Okay.
Why don't we pack this gear up and let's hit it.
Agreed. So how high is Hawksbill? It seemed like it was way up there.
We were at about 4,500 feet, but as you can see, when we dropped in elevation, this fog has rolled in, which is quite typical for the high country.
Ah, the high country. You mean the Appalachians?
Yeah. Hey, did you know that the Appalachians are older and were once taller than the Rocky Mountains?
No, I didn't know that. You know, I look around and I see this dense tree canopy. When we were looking down from that high vantage point, it looked like a layer of tree carpeting. It's hard to remember that people live down here.
Well, the ruggedness of the land has made development slow, but people still do like to live here.
So who were some of the first settlers?
Europeans, Scots, and Scots-Irish, but before that, this land was the home of the great Cherokee Nation. But unfortunately, they were driven from their land and sent to reservations in the Midwest, but some of their ancestors managed to stay in hiding and preserve their rich culture to pass on to their descendants.
You know, now that this fog's rolled in, it's brought in a lot of moisture. I think I'd like to put on another layer of clothing.
Yeah, I agree.
Have you seen any bear yet?
I ran into a bear once. I was out hiking with my dogs, and this bear charged at us through the brush, and then my dogs charged back at the bear, and I got really scared for my dogs, so just my gut reaction was just to make this really loud noise, and thankfully it scared the bear away.
So what kind of noise did you make?
I went, woo!
I guess that's enough to scare any bear. So have you run into any other wildlife?
I've seen deer, squirrels, grouse, hawks, owls. There's also timber rattlers in the area, as well as copperheads.
Yeah, I've run into one of those.
You did? What happened?
I got bit.
Oh, how did it happen?
Well, I was just a kid out hiking in the woods in my tennis shoes instead of hiking boots. I stepped over a log, and I guess I scared it. Came out and bit me. And fortunately enough, I was hiking with an older gentleman, Mr. Bloomfield. He sat me down on the log, pulled his belt off, made a tourniquet out of it, whipped his pocket knife out, cut a couple of slits. Yeah, I know it. And then he took me to the hospital, and then they did their magic there.
You got lucky, because, yeah, first rule, go to the hospital.
Yeah, I know it. Are we supposed to run into some switchbacks up here?
They're a little further down the trail.
Okay. Wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah, welcome to Lower Creek Falls. You think this is nice? Wait till you see the Upper Falls.
Oh, yeah? Now, what's your plan for getting me across this?
We're not gonna cross here, it's too turbulent. We're gonna head down a little bit where it's more narrow, but I need you to be very careful. These rocks are slick and that water's cold. The last thing you need is hyperthermia before we make our way to Upper Creek.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to be dragging me out of this water, would you?
Not a chance.
Now that's a waterfall.
Yeah, that's the Upper Creek Falls.
Oh, it's beautiful. Look at all that water. A little tough to get to, but it was worth it.
Definitely. Now, I don't want to rush you, but we do need to work our way back to the trail. We need to get around the waterfalls, and we're going to set up camp on the other side. So we need to kind of hurry.
You lead the way.
How'd you sleep last night?
Oh, terrific. This cool mountain air and that waterfall just lulled me right to sleep.
Yeah, I always sleep great outside. You ready to get dirty today?
Oh, yeah, I'm excited about going caving. Be nice to stay dry all day.
Don't get too used to that thought.
Okay.
Let's go meet Will. Hey, Will.
Oh, hey, how you doing, Mel?
Great.
All right, you must be Brian.
Yes.
It's great to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Have you ever been caving before?
No, it's my first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we've got a terrific cave to explore today. I'm getting some personal gear together right now. Do you have any coveralls?
No, I didn't bring any.
Okay. Well, I brought a pair here for you.
Okay.
What these are going to do is they'll protect your clothes, keep you, nice and clean. They'll also keep you safe as you're scrambling over rocks like this.
All right.
But the most important thing, Brian, is they're going to keep you dry, keep you warm, and that's going to protect you from hypothermia.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Is this the entrance to the cave?
This is one, and there's another one right down the hill.
We're at the stream?
Yeah, you got it. The stream is definitely the adventure way to go.
Oh, yeah?
It's quite a scramble down this slippery bank. And what you actually do, Brian, is you head down into the stream itself, and you do what's called sumping. You go underwater and pop back up inside the cave.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Must be a tough way to get into the cave, though.
It is. It's a little wet, especially when you got a nice dry entrance right up the hill.
Well, I don't mind getting wet, but I prefer the dry entrance today.
Yeah, me too. Let's head on in.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Brian, those coveralls look great. How do they fit?
Perfect fit. Nice and warm, too. So what's the temperature going to be like inside the cave?
It's about 55 degrees in there.
Does it change with the seasons any?
Fluctuates about 3 to 5 degrees during the year, but pretty much the cave's going to stay the average temperature of the region that it's located in.
And it's going to stay that temperature all year round?
That's right.
No matter what's happening outside?
Exactly. The cave's going to bring air in and out and keep itself the same temperature year round.
How does that work?
Well, if there's a big temperature differential between the outside air and the air inside the cave's actually going to breathe air in and out. You can almost feel the wind back in the cave, and it's going to regulate its temperature just like we do, just by breathing.
And you can feel that inside the cave?
You sure can, almost all the way back.
How far back does it go?
This cave goes about 2 miles. It's pretty big.
Is that right?
Yeah. But before we head in, let's go ahead and make sure we got all our safety gear together.
Okay.
First off, we want to make sure our helmets fit nice and snug, so go ahead and grab yours.
Okay.
Reason for this is the ceiling of the cave really varies, and generally I'll hit my head about 2 or 3 times going through the cave. So
is that right?
Having a good brain bucket on counts for a lot. It also is a great place to hold our lamps, and we can go ahead and turn those on.
All right.
These are really nice because as we turn our heads, we get to see where we're going, and we don't have to hold a flashlight in our hands. So our hands are free to move around and keep us safe.
Okay.
Speaking of hands, let's put on our gloves.
All right.
We want to make sure to wear those all day long. This is going to protect us from the sharp edges in the cave, and also it's going to protect the cave environment from the oils on our hands. The formations in the cave form by water depositing minerals, and as the minerals get deposited, if we were to put a fingerprint up there that's oily, the water's going to flow around that mark, and so we're going to change the cave forever, and we don't want to do that.
No, we don't.
And I also have a whistle and a glow stick for you, just in case you get separated from us.
All right.
Well, hey, on that note, let's head on in.
Okay. You know, this room is huge. I thought we'd be crawling through on our hands and knees.
Yeah, there's a few places we get down and dirty, but for the most part, the rooms are big enough to hold a home or even a small building in this cave.
Are we going to run into any wildlife?
Well, we could. At the cave mouth, we could encounter creatures like a possum, maybe a skunk, even a bear.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're just hanging out, really just visiting for a little while. As we move a little further back into what's called the twilight zone, we're going to encounter things like snakes, creepy crawlies, bugs, insects that like the dark and moist cave environment. Even further back, we run into our third class, and they're called troglodytes. Now, these creatures are super neat because they've developed special characteristics to actually live and survive their whole lives in the cave. Things like crawfish and millipedes have a special sense of touch and hearing that allows them to survive in the cave.
Are we going to see these troglodytes?
Well, we're not going to actively seek any out because we don't want to disrupt the environment in here.
Sounds good to me.
Well, hey, you ready for the first formation?
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's right up here. Let's go.
Hey, Brian, check out this stalagmite.
Oh, yeah, look at this.
Yeah, isn't this a beauty?
Oh, yeah.
It's just amazing. And really, this whole cave environment is so wild how it's been formed over millions of years. Brian, this whole area was once an inland sea about 400 million years ago. And what's happened is those fish and vegetation that was in the sea floated down to the bottom and actually created all these huge deposits of calcium carbonate and plant material. And that's made the limestone rock that's all around this whole region. And what we have going on today, and that's formed the cave systems, is we have vegetation above ground and leaf material and all sorts of soil and stuff like that. And as water interacts with those materials, it produces carbonic acid. Now, carbonic acid isn't that strong, but over millions of years, it's eroded away the limestone, and it's produced this whole cavern system. It's really amazing. Now, an interesting offshoot of that reaction is a mineral called calcite is formed. And as water drips down from the cave ceiling and hits the floor or hits certain features, calcite is deposited. And that's what's actually made this whole stalagmite formation, as well as the other formations in the cave. Now, if you want to talk about time frame, about an inch of this formation, it's estimated that it takes about 10 to 100 years for that to grow.
Now, I thought a stalagmite grew down from the top of the ceiling.
Oh, those are called stalactites.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, these are stalactites.
That's right, Brian. What's happened here is the water's coming down through the cave ceiling, and the mineral, the calcite, is actually being deposited before the water has a chance to drip to the ground. So it's forming these great stalactite features.
Yeah, an easy way to remember it is that a stalagmite might reach the ceiling, while a stalactite clings tight to the ceiling.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and right over here behind us is a great example of both going on. We've got a stalactite coming down and a stalagmite coming up, and you can see they've fused in the middle and formed a column. Really interesting feature.
Yeah.
Over here, we've got another one called flowstone. And what's happened here is basically after the columns form, there's just been more mineral deposits, and it's evolved into this flowstone, almost like a sandcastle formation.
Now, why did it pick this particular area to form in?
Oh, well, what's thought to happen there is it's believed there's a weaker rock material above us, and so the water's been channeled down and deposited more minerals in this particular area. And let's head on back into the cave a little further. We're going to head up over this ridge, you guys, and be sure to watch your heads. Hey, Brian, check this out.
What you got?
It's a bat.
Oh, yeah. What's he doing, just hanging out?
That's right, Brian. Bats come in caves during the winter to hibernate. It gets way too cold outside and there's no bugs to eat.
So how many bats you think are in this cave?
Well, this cave's got a huge bat nursery. There's thousands of bats in here. That's great news if you don't like being bit by mosquitoes in the summer, because a single one of these guys can eat up to 3,000 bugs a night.
That's a lot of little legs.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, is it true all bats hibernate?
No, actually, some bats have been found on migration routes flying at altitudes over 10,000 feet.
I thought all bats were blind.
That's a common misconception, Brian. Actually, bats see quite well, but at night and in the cave, they use a sonar system to fly around and navigate. That allows them to hone in on those little insects and catch them up. It's really neat.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, bats are just amazing animals. In fact, they're the only mammal that can fly, swim, and walk. But you know what? We don't want to hang out here too long, Brian. Our body heat might trigger the bat into thinking it's springtime out there. It might fly outside looking for something to eat and use up some precious energy reserves. So let's go catch up with Mel.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, do you want to get rich?
Always.
Look up.
Oh, wow. What is this, gold dust?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think, Brian. Actually, in here with all these cave curtains is a mineral called yellow iron pyrite. And we call it fool's gold because as that gets down into the water droplets and our lights hit it and reflect, it looks just like gold.
Sure could make a fool out of me.
Well, there was gold in the area. There was a guy that found a rock that he thought was real pretty, and so he used it as a doorstop for years. And then come to find out, it was the largest nugget ever found.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I heard about that story. It was like over a pound.
Yeah.
Wow. Too bad these curtains aren't solid gold, huh?
Yeah. Shame this stuff isn't real.
Whoa, hold up there, Brian. You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty slippery in here, man.
Yeah, it does.
We're gonna wanna keep in mind the low and slow theme we've been going with all day. But another thing to interject here is a rule of thumb called 3 points of contact. When we're moving across slippery ledges like this, we really wanna go to stay low and slow and really get down. You know, use your butt, use your hands, and scramble across.
Okay.
3 points of contact, all right? And moving up slopes also. Use your hands, your knees, your elbows. It's a full body contact sport. I mean, you gotta get down and dirty and stay safe, all right?
Oh, sure.
I mean, looking graceful isn't the name of the game in here.
Okay.
So another good point is when you're coming down off a high feature and you're sliding down, get down, use that butt. It's your best piece of equipment.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
You bet. Now, this is fascinating.
Isn't this great, Brian? I mean, talk about a perfect example of a cave formation that's living and growing just right before our very eyes. If you look up at the ceiling, you can actually see where the water is seeping through, just full of minerals. It's hitting this formation and depositing all that calcite and other minerals all around here. I mean, what? This formation's got to be 10 feet tall and 20 feet around.
Oh, yeah. Now, this formation is growing a lot faster than the other ones we saw.
That's right, Brian, and just the main reason for that, it all goes back to the water. You know, where there's water, there's more minerals, things are going to grow faster.
Now, it won't take long for this one to reach the ceiling.
Well, that's pretty debatable. I'm not going to make a guess on that, but to me it looks like there's more being deposited on the sides than growing up right now.
Yeah, for me, this is what caving's all about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. You know, from weather-worn mountaintops to hidden caverns, the Appalachians are a storied mountain range. I've spent my fair share of time here exploring the forest and the crags. But now, after seeing the mountain's underbelly, it's hard not to have a greater appreciation for this area. I'd like to thank Melanie and Will for introducing me to the enticing world of caves. We're going to make our way further upstream and explore deeper into this cave, but we'll see you on the next Trailside.
To order home videos of this or any other Trailside program, or to order a Trailside guidebook, call 1-800-TRAILSIDE.